Hey artists and designers, Thorgeir here. Amateur website. What is the difference between an amateur website and a professional website? Do you think this page right here looks professional? Well, what about this? And what about this one? What if I told you that all of these pages were created at least 19 years ago? Well, these web pages actually belong to some of the biggest brands on the internet today. We're talking about eBay, Amazon, and Microsoft. So we can be pretty sure that all of these websites were created by professionals. And these websites probably also looked pretty good back in the year 2000 or so. So clearly tastes have changed along with technology. But what if we take a more recent example, say something like this? What do you think now? Professional or amateur? This webpage was actually created by my 11-year-old niece using Wix.com. Sure, she needed a little help understanding the English and how to use the interface, but I made sure to interfere as little as I possibly could. And I think this website actually looks pretty good. And since this is her first time creating a website, we can confidently say that this webpage was actually made by an amateur. So how can we tell if a website is professionally made or not? Is there something that the professionals do differently when they design websites? Something that the amateurs don't? Well, in this video, I'm going to take you step by step through the process of creating a website for art and design. To give you a bit of an idea where I fall on the amateur professional spectrum. In my full-time job, I work as a user experience designer for a software company. I've been designing websites for at least 15 years, and in 2016, I graduated with a master's degree in product design psychology. And in this video, I want to share some of this knowledge that I've learned through the years. And since this is my first video on the topic, I'll try to keep things simple. Alright, so to design the website for this channel, I have 3 criteria. Number 1, I want to spend my time working in design tools, not programming tools. Number 2, I want to input my credit card once and get access to everything that I need, like a domain name, an email address, and everything that is required to host and maintain the website. Number 3, I want a tool to supplement my creative thinking, not stand in the way of it. So I started looking for a platform that met all of these criteria, and I eventually found a platform that did just that, which is why I'm proud to present the sponsor of today's video, which is Wix.com. Now, I reached out to Wix recently because, in all honesty, I found that Wix offers what I've always regarded as one of the most important aspects when it comes to website design, which is uninterrupted access to creative flow. And what I mean by that is I can focus on designing the website to make it look good and be easy to use and all of that, and Wix makes sure that it all works. Wix has a vast library of plugins that make it easy to add things like community forums, a members area, an online art store with printing and shipping taken care of. So what I think is awesome about this is that I don't need to pour effort into learning how to code an online art store and dealing with the printing service and all the logistics that come with all of that. Wix just handles that for me. And if you would like to try it out and create your own website for free using Wix, then check out the link in the description and create your own website using that. And if you want to learn more about how to use the Wix editor, then stay tuned until part 2 in this video series, because in that part, we're gonna dive into details about how to use the Wix editor and how to make it all work. But what I want to focus on in this video are the steps of designing a professional website. We'll be covering things like ideation, psychology, design strategy, sketching, UI design, and user testing. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now, the first part in this design process is probably the most important one, and that is defining the purpose and scope of our website. Now, we want to spend a good amount of time on this step because without a clear purpose, we might end up with a fully designed website which serves no specific purpose. And this will risk leaving our visitors confused and without any clear direction, and at which point they'll probably just leave the website and likely not visit it again. So how do we define the purpose of our website? Well, it helps to think about it in terms of what job is our visitor trying to get done on the website? Or in other words, what is the ideal outcome that our visitor wants to achieve on the website? So let's take, for example, what I did with this website for art and design. I asked a selection of my viewers, my friends and family, what they would like to see from the art and design website. Now, the majority of the feedback that I received was mainly to gain access to things like templates and brushes and other assets from my videos. But there were a couple of other things that were mentioned. The one that stood out to me was that there was an interest to purchase artworks from the website. And this is where I started questioning them a little further. So I decided to dig a little deeper and ask follow-up questions. And the reason for this was to understand if the purchasing process itself was interesting for them, or if it had to do with something else. For example, purchasing a new iPad can be, exciting. However, I don't purchase an iPad just to pay for it. I want to use it. And Apple has thought about this customer experience as a whole. Everything from paying for the device, unboxing it, setting it up, and eventually all the way through sitting down with the headphones on and getting lost and just drawing stuff on it. Now, the same can be said for purchasing an artwork. It is not enough to pay for it. The customer also has to receive it. And it is also not enough to just receive it. We should also think about including hooks on the artwork so that the customer can hang it up on the wall and look at it. So we need to think about the customer experience as a whole. So to summarize, I would recommend calling friends and family and asking them questions designed to uncover the purpose of your website. Or even better, if you're up for it, you could conduct a more formal interview with people that represent your website viewers. But to keep things brief, I'll list a few pointers right here that should help us get started with the interviews. Now, of course, you can always add more questions or remove the ones that you think don't apply to you. So you can just sort of use this as a template for setting up your interviews. So we ask our friends or family questions designed to uncover what is the goal or job that our website visitors want to get done on the website. And our website should be designed to help them achieve their goal, not stand in the way of it. Now, before we dive into sketching, designing, and creating the website, I think it's good to mention a few points from design psychology that are good to have in mind when going forward. When we design products that people interact with, we should be aware of the capacity and the limitations of the human ability to process information. Remember, our visitors are seeing this website for the first time, so we don't want to overload them with information. Every time we force our visitors to have to think about how to interact with our interface, we're chipping away just a little bit of their mental resources. This leaves them with less room to focus on the content of the website because they're trying to figure out how to actually use the website. And over time, this causes small frustrations to build up until the website visitor simply just loses interest. With each irritation, inconsistency, bad color choice, we risk losing the attention of our visitors. And as we know, people have a very short attention span. Wait, what was I saying? So we have to make sure that we don't force our visitors to have to think about how to use the interface. They have a desired outcome that they want to achieve, and we don't want to get in their way. So keep it clean, keep it simple, and distraction-free. Anyways, I could probably talk about this for hours, so I'll spare you your mental resources and leave you with some links in the description that should help to get a clearer understanding of what I'm talking about. But now let's move on to the fun part, sketching the website. In this phase, we're going to create some napkin drawings or like rough sketches. The sketches should show a rough layout of the website, like a button here, some text there, a banner there. And we should absolutely try to avoid going into too much detail here. It's generally a much better idea to create multiple sketches with completely different layouts just to sort of get your brain rolling or get your brain rolling. Sure, let's go with that. So here are 3 sketches that I made for the art and design website. And as you can see, it just mostly shows like a rough layout. There's nothing fancy here. Ideally, we should ask our visitors, friends, or family which sketch they prefer and why. We want to get their feedback and use that feedback in the next step, which is where the magic happens. So basically, we just want to get some ideas down on paper. That's pretty much it. Now let's design an interface that our website visitors will immediately understand how to use and enjoy using. We're going to base our design on all of the data that we've gathered so far. By now, we should understand who our users are and what goals they have in mind when they visit our website. The primary goal, or the goal that was most often mentioned, should be the first thing that they see when they visit the website. By scrolling down, they should discover the second goal and the third goal, and so on and so forth. Our mission is to make it as easy as possible for them to achieve their goal. And this is how we can do that. Now, bear in mind, I'm compressing a huge amount of information in a very short section here in order for this to be relevant to most people. And I'd love to dive deeper into this in a separate video, so do leave me a comment down below if you would like to see that. But anyways, let's talk about how to design the interface. Number one, keep it simple. The best interfaces are almost invisible to the user. This means avoid using distracting elements that pull the attention away from the user's goal. Text labels should be clearly written, and buttons should signify what happens when you click on them. Number two, keep the page layout clean. Make sure that the items on the page have spatial relationships between each other. A clean website shows a clear separation between the items that are unrelated and close proximity between the items that are related. In Gestalt psychology, this is called the law of proximity, and in simple terms, it means that objects that are similar to each other with regards to spacing, colors, or other qualities are perceived as a group. So if we want to make sure that our users aren't mistaking one thing with another, then space them apart or differentiate them from one another by changing the color, the shape, or the texture. Number three, keep it consistent. Once a user learns how to do something, they should be able to transfer that skill to other parts of the site. Consistency means that they can do that. A user learns that a yellow button means action. The page navigation is always at the top, and the contact information is at the bottom. This helps them to learn how to use the interface and reduces cognitive load. Number four is using colors sparingly. Colors can be used to draw attention, but if there's too much of it, it can be difficult to know what to focus on and what not to. So use colors sparingly to draw attention and direct the user's flow towards their goal. Number five, minimize the number of actions needed to perform tasks. A good rule of thumb here is to focus on one main function per page or section. We should try to guide our users by indicating what they should focus on by using colors or other means of drawing attention. And number six, try not to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. There's a huge number of beautiful templates and tools on Wix that we can use as a starting point. Basically, when we set up a website with Wix, we can pick from a huge list of professionally made templates. This means that we can sort of hit the ground running by finding a template that closely resembles the sketches that we made earlier, and then we can continue on from there. If you don't feel confident creating a website from scratch, then I wouldn't hesitate checking out the templates library that Wix has to offer. Then find a nice template and modify it to what you need based on the sketches and the feedback that we gained in step one. But if you do feel confident about creating a website from the ground up, then of course you can do so by creating a blank page and then use the tips that we've listed so far. Now there are many other programs that we can use to design a website interface. The industry standard at this point is Sketch. It's for Mac only and it requires a license to use. Other good ones are Figma, InVision Studio, and Adobe XD. And on the screen right now you can see some of the designs that I created using Affinity Designer and PROCREATE, and also some of the designs that I created using Adobe XD. I was very surprised how easy it was to use the Wix editor to recreate the designs that I had created using Affinity and Adobe XD. Like right here, you can see the Adobe XD design and the Wix website. They look pretty much identical. I was really happy with that because that meant that I could use the design tools that I'm familiar with and then just upload everything to the Wix editor and recreate the design there. However, anytime that I wanted to change the design, like maybe I got feedback from a user test or I just grew tired of the design, I had to redesign it in the design tool, export everything that I needed, and then upload it to the Wix editor. And after a while, I realized that this was actually slowing me down because I essentially had to do everything twice, first in the design tool and then in the Wix editor. At this point, I stopped and thought to myself, why don't I just try using only the Wix editor and design the entire website there? So I created a new page, uploaded my logo, and started designing the website only using the Wix editor. And after about 1 or 2 hours working in the Wix editor, I was ready with a website design. I was really surprised how much you can do with the Wix editor. I mean, it's a website to design websites. But all of that is coming up in the next video, so stay tuned until that. But now it's time to talk about the next step in the process, which is user testing the website. Have you ever worked on a project for such a long time that you've sort of lost track of the original vision for the project? Well, designing a website can often feel like being zoomed into a maze, focusing on the details of the leaves in the bushes. After a while, you look up and you don't know in which direction the exit is. You sort of lost yourself in the details, and now the overall picture is sort of blurry. What can happen at this point is a sort of disconnect between us as designers and the users. And this is exactly why we do user testing, so that we can do a trial run and see how our users interact with the website and fail in a controlled environment. User testing allows us to act as observers, looking at the maze from a bird's eye view, seeing where people succeed and where they fail. By asking people to interact with the website while trying to accomplish the goals that we identified earlier, we can learn where their pain points are and what's standing in the way of them and reaching their goal. Once we spot a potential problem, well, that's an opportunity for us to improve. Now, there are thousands of ways to do a user test, but for the sake of simplicity and not making this video too long, on the screen right now, you can see a sample of a simple user test. So if you would like to conduct your own user test, then you can go ahead and check that out. Now, I can't stress enough how important it is to test our designs, because it's absolutely demoralizing spending weeks on designing a website without any feedback. And then when it comes time to publishing the website, it turns out that our users simply aren't engaging with the site. Average view times is in the seconds, and they don't really click on anything. They just sort of click on the website and then they close it. Conducting a simple user test can really help us understand where our visitors are having problems, what they like, what they don't like, and how we can improve. So my mantra is to design fast, test designs often, learn from feedback, and improve the interface based on the feedback. Now, it might be tempting for us to skip the user testing altogether and move on to the next step, which is publishing the website. And I don't blame you. It can be daunting to show off our designs to people and have them say what's wrong with it. But at this point, it's absolutely important to remember that we shouldn't take this feedback personally. Design is a messy process, and we rarely get things right the first time. So we might even opt to do another user test in the end, just to make sure that our final design is good enough. So to recap, we design and create our website. We test it with users. We improve the website based on the feedback. And if you want to be extra careful, you can do another user test after making the changes, just to be sure. And if we have followed along with these steps so far, we should have a website design that we feel confident about. The final step. Now it's time to bury ourselves under a blanket and not come out until we've finished modifying the website design based on all of the feedback that we've gained in the previous steps. And once we've previewed the website multiple times to make sure everything works, then we can finally click on that beautiful blue button right over here, and we are live. Now, I want to thank Wix for sponsoring this video, because in all honesty, I'm so happy with my experience using it. Even before I decided to reach out to them to do a sponsored video, I had already signed up for a premium subscription with a domain name and everything that follows with the premium subscription. So the reason why I reached out to them was because I really enjoy their service, and that's why I want to share it with you, the viewers. So check out the link in the description if you want to create your own free website using Wix. Now, since launching this channel about 2 years ago, I've received countless requests to share my brushes, my artworks, my texture libraries, and everything that I use in my videos. I fiddled around with using Dropbox links and other file hosting services, but it was never really all in one place. And when I decided that I needed to create a website, I started looking for solutions. And when I decided to try using Wix, I was blown away with the customer experience. In one evening, I'd gone from an idea to having a published website on a custom domain name. It was just such a relief compared to what I'm used to with FTP servers and uploading the HTML files and making changes and all of that sort of stuff. And if you're just getting started with website design, then Wix has the tools to help you ease into the process with things like templates, tutorials, and even a special editor called ADI, which stands for Artificial Design Intelligence. And it basically takes care of most of the heavy lifting so that we can focus on the content. Those who are more familiar with design tools can take advantage of the Wix editor and use it in conjunction with other design tools, or like in my case, just use the Wix editor to design the whole thing. Except the logo, I guess. And if you want to code, then Wix has that functionality as well. And you can start building your website today for free at wix.com/artanddesign. But that's gonna be it for this video. I wanna thank you all very much for watching. See you in part 2 in this video, where we're gonna dive deep into how to use the Wix editor. Do leave me comments down below if there's something specific that you want to learn about the Wix editor. I would love to be able to answer some of your questions in that video. Please like the video if you liked it, subscribe, and click that bell button to see more videos from this channel in the future. Until then, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.